Cleveland Browns backfield took a hit this weekend after Nick Chubb went down with an MCL injury that's going to put him on the injured reserve. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Dr. Brian Sutterer, and this is your #1 source for learning about the unique medical side of the world of sports. Today, we'll be breaking down Nick Chubb's MCL injury based on the footage of the play, go over the anatomy, and then talk about some basics of managing this type of an injury. As always, if you enjoy learning about this unique side of sports, then please consider subscribing and be sure and go follow me over on Twitter for more real-time breakdowns and analysis. So this is the play where Chubb got hurt, and if we keep an eye here, remember it's his right side. Here, as he steps and plants his right leg right about here, you can see how he basically gets rolled up on by one of the Cowboys linemen here, basically falling into the outside of his knee, causing it to collapse inward. In this position here, it's a little bit hard to see his right leg kind of hidden back there, but again, the lineman for the Cowboys falling into the outside of his knee is what causes his MCL injury here. Another interesting thing here, right as Chubb goes down, we can see, he's grabbing at that leg, and when the medical staff comes out, he actually kind of points right at the inside of his knee here, signifying where he was having pain and where he feels like he was injured, which is right where that MCL ligament lives. This is the right knee, and I've highlighted here the primary ligaments of the knee, including the MCL. Here we're looking basically straight on from the front. So to the right here, where my arrow is going to be the medial or inside of the leg. And then here on the outside where the arrow is now is going to be the lateral or the outside of the knee. The MCL is this ligament that lives here on the inside of the knee, running from the femur down along the tibia. MCL stands for medial, meaning the side of the knee it's on, collateral because it's on the outside of the knee, and then ligament. The MCL itself is actually a pretty broad and long ligament. It's always surprising in clinic when we look at this under ultrasound to see just how far down the tibia this ligament extends. And it's quite broad and flat compared to the LCL that sits on the outside of the knee. It's shorter, and the LCL is also a lot more like a rope. The primary function here, though, of the MCL is to protect the knee from valgus stress. A valgus stress is whenever some force is applied to the outside of the knee, pushing the knee inward or pushing the knee into a valgus position. So if we go back to this play here where Chubb got hurt, this lineman falling into the outside of his knee imparts a valgus stress right there onto the outside of the knee, causing it to bend inward. Imagine taking this anatomy picture here when the knee is nice and straight and just completely bending it to the side. You can imagine how much that's going to stretch and pull this MCL ligament. We can also take a look here at this model of the knee. So again, we're looking straight on. This is going to be the outside of the knee. This is the inside of the knee. So this ligament right here is the MCL. So basically what happens, that valgus stress stretches the knee kind of in this direction. And it's probably a little bit tough to tell, but you can see how that ligament is stretching whenever I apply that valgus load. A couple of key little tips here too with MCL injuries. Typically when they occur, more often to see them up on the proximal site here up by the femur, as opposed to distal down lower. Generally, an MCL injury that's higher up here by the femur is going to heal better than one that's located down lower closer to the tibia. Similar to other injuries with ligaments, though, we can classify these into grade 1, grade 2, or grade 3. That classification depends on, in part, the pain that the player is having, as well as, more importantly, the amount of opening or gapping that we see in the knee. One of the ways that we actually evaluate for these injuries in clinic is to do an exam where we apply a valgus stress onto the knee to see how much the knee gaps and opens up because of this ligament being stretched or torn. Think if you took a pair of scissors and just cut this ligament straight across, you're going to be able to completely pull the knee apart because there's not going to be much of a ligament there to a degree. So when we do this valgus stress testing, we're looking for #1, the pain that the player has, and also how much laxity or how much gapping we see in the knee. You can also look at this under ultrasound guidance to see exactly down to the millimeter how much that ligament stretches when you apply a stress to it, and that amount of gapping or stretching is part of how we determine grade 1, 2, or grade 3. So let's look back at our clip here one more time now that we've focused on that anatomy. So here as we see Chubb running down to the side, unexpectedly leg gets rolled up on here, and that valgus stress right here from that defensive lineman is going to be what causes the MCL to tear. Interestingly, MCL tears most commonly occur from some external load, like we saw happen here with Chubb. They also occur kind of around this 20 to 30 degree angle of knee flexion. And if we look here zoomed in a little bit, you can see that that's around maybe that angle that Chubb's knee is at. The knee's not completely flexed to 90, it's about at 30 degrees or so, which puts additional stress on that MCL. Treatment of these is fortunately most often without surgery. The key though is that you want to make sure that those fibers of the MCL heal back up in a nice taut position. Oftentimes this means that the athlete will have to wear a knee immobilizer for a period of time while those fibers scar down and heal back in place so that the knee ligament doesn't heal in a stretched position. If while you're recovering from this injury, you allow more of this similar type of stress to be imparted on the knee, like we can see here from the injury mechanism, you don't give it a chance to heal, and it stretches and stretches and ultimately heals in a lengthened position. Of course, then that brings in all kinds of possibilities with having more instability in the knee going forward, even when the pain is resolved. So rehabilitation is key for these to make sure that ligament heals in a good, proper position that's not excessively stretched due to the injury. Based on the fact that they expect Chubb to be out for somewhere around 6 weeks, I would certainly put this at a grade 2, probably a grade 3 injury. We didn't hear any reports of other associated injuries, so thankfully it seems like he avoided the dreaded ACL tear that can occur with these MCL injuries, and also appears to have avoided things like a meniscus tear. So when you see something like this, think about an MCL injury isolated, where the player gets rolled up on and pushes their knee inward from the outside. When injuries like this positioning of the knee happen non-contact, that's when we usually are thinking more about the ACL. That's it for this video though, everybody. Thank you as always for watching, and I hope you learned something here. Let me know any questions or comments down below. And until next time, we'll see you later.